Hello, hello, my brothers and sisters. This is Garrett Baker, brother in arms, and welcome to another episode of The Tactical Businessman. Today's topic? Trying to think of a good name for this one. Let's call it What to Do When It's Not Working. So I want to share with you a little story. This past weekend, my family and I, we went to New Mexico. My parents and my sister lived there. If you've ever been to New Mexico or if you live there, first of all, I'm sorry. Oh, New Mexico, they call it the land of enchantment, but it's rather an interesting place to say the least. But anyway, so we head over there with the family. It's about a 6-hour drive for us. That's right. I drive from Phoenix. Why? Because airline tickets would be well over $1,000 for a couple days. Not so much worth it. So we drive over there, and the drive is really, 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 really boring. You know, some drives you can take from cities or states, and in between, and you've got pine trees or rolling hills or mountains or the ocean, and, it's not a bad drive. Well, the drive to New Mexico, once you get outside of the forest, if you will, in northern Arizona, it just becomes high plains, which there's some rolling hills, and it's mostly just like sagebrush and grass, dead grass, and wind. Lots and lots of wind. Not a lot of people live there for obvious reasons. Anyway, we go to New Mexico. We have a great time. We're on our way back, and we turn off of the main highway, I-40, through a town named Holbrook. And Holbrook has, I don't know, it's got a country song. It's mentioned in a country song or something. I don't know, something like that. They sell petrified wood. They have a dinosaur museum, which I don't think has any dinosaurs. And then they got a bunch of pretty rocks. That's about the claim to fame for that little town. So we get through there and we hit this open stretch of literally just rolling hills, small hills, and wind. 60, 70 miles. Like the wind is always blowing there. And as we're cruising down the road, I'm driving, my wife's in the passenger seat, I catch something moving on the left side of my eye, and I look at the windshield, and on the left side of the windshield, there's this little plastic part, this black plastic part, and it starts kind of fluttering back and forth, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. Well, maybe it's because the wind's blowing so hard right now, it's just fluttering around, yeah, whatever. You keep going. A few miles down the road, all of a sudden, this black plastic piece flies off of the windshield. Like just whoop, just flies off. I'm like, what in the hell was that? So I pull over. I have to pull over a little ways up because there was nowhere to pull over. And I circle back, and we're going a little slow. I got the hazards on. I got the kids looking out the window. We're trying to find this. It's about an inch wide and probably about 2.5 feet long. This black plastic piece on black asphalt. It's a 2-lane road. And they see it, and I'm like, oh, sweet, but I can't stop there again because there's no place to pull over. So I have to go back up the road a quarter mile, turn around, and then come back. Well, as I start to turn around, I have to wait for oncoming traffic, which happens to be about 7 cars followed by a semi. That's right, an 18-wheeler. And the only thing going through my mind is, please, Mr. Semi, don't do what it is that I think that you're going to do right now, which is run over this piece of plastic. So I get in behind him, a few more cars, and start to look again. Can't see it. We get to a place where we think it was and kind of pull over up the road. I get out of the car on foot and I start walking around, and I'm finding pieces of tires and broken glass and all these things in this tall grass, but I'm not finding this piece of plastic. Finally, I get to a spot where I see almost a U-shaped piece of plastic, and that was my piece of plastic that had flown off the car. That's right. The 18-wheeler had taken care of it. Now, here I am, middle of nowhere with this broken piece of plastic that goes to my windshield, mind you, and I don't know if my windshield's like gonna fly off now or something, and I'm pretty pissed off. This is a new car. Like, this should not be happening. So I grab the piece of plastic, I go in the car, I throw it on the floorboard, and my wife's like, what's wrong? I'm like, why are we dealing with this? Why am I seriously dealing with a piece of plastic flying off of my car? Anyway, I'm super pissed off, keep going. And as I'm going, I'm thinking about this piece of plastic and how much this piece of plastic has ruined my life. That's what I'm telling myself. How much it's ruined my life. That I'm going to have to go to the dealership tomorrow and I'm going to do all these things because of this stupid piece of plastic. And as I'm doing that, I'm reminded of a little story that one of the guys I work with told me. And he told me that on Saturday, he had wanted to go out to ride his mountain bike. And so he'd gone out to his garage, gotten his mountain bike off the rack. He had a flat tire. Well, he looked around. He didn't have the right tube. So he goes to put his truck or his bike in the back of his truck. As he does, he looks and sees that he has a flat tire in his truck. And he looks closer and finds out that he has a nail. So a simple task, i.e. get out to go ride his mountain bike, to be able to relax a little bit, to get a little cardio in, turns into this half-day ordeal of changing the tire on his car and then changing the tire on his bike. But he tells me the next day he was able to get out, and it was a great morning, and he really enjoyed himself. And I'm thinking about that, and I'm going, am I really letting this small piece of plastic commandeer my life right now? And I looked at the piece of plastic, and for a second, I said, yes, I am. And then I started to think about it more deeply. And I realized that, listen, just like with you, there's going to be things in life that are going to happen. You're on a trip, headed to a destination, cruising along at a good speed. You're able to fuel up. Things aren't going bad. You're cleaning the bugs off your windshield. Everything's going good. And then whoop, a piece flies off your car. Or boop, you get a flat tire. Or the road's closed. Or, and I could just keep going. And all these things start happening. What do? Like, what is it that you do? And I started to examine my own life and said, what is my reaction when these things happen? Because it's not an if, right? We all know how life works. Life is not an if, it's a when. When things don't go right, when things don't go your way, when these inevitable roadblocks, hurdles, obstacles, pieces of your car go flying off, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? See, the crazy part is this inanimate object, this piece of plastic, had literally commandeered my life. Because it was the only thing I was thinking about for at least a good half hour. And I thought about it, and I'm like, wait a minute. One silly little piece of plastic is keeping me from focusing on what I really want. And so I ask you the same question. What is it in your life? Like right now, what is it that you're dealing with? Is it something physical that's keeping you from the gym? Is it something mental that's keeping you from, having that conversation with your wife? Is it something financial that's keeping you from building your business the way that you want it to? What is it? See, we keep having these roadblocks, these inevitable, hurdles, if you will, that are going to appear in front of us. And the question isn't ever, what is it that I'm going to do if they come? It's what is it that I'm going to do when they come? So I was having a conversation with the man this morning, and during this conversation, he's talking about, the issues that he's having with his family right now. He's getting divorced, for his own reasons. He's got a woman that he's living with, and eventually that they're going to get married. But they're having the issues with the kids in the holidays. And if you're divorced or getting divorced, you understand what I'm talking about. Who's getting the kids? How long are they getting them for? Whose house are they going to? Who's this? What's that? And it just becomes a nightmare. And so this holiday nightmare called Easter had overtaken his life. And literally, it had caused not only a rift between him and his current family, but him and his future family. And it destroyed his entire day. His entire day had been focused on that one thing. And I started to think about this. See, back when I told Melissa that she was the sole reason that I wasn't happy and that things weren't happening the way I wanted them to, and I wasn't as financially successful as I wanted to be, and all of these things. Back when I told her that and told her that I wanted a divorce, I went out and I was living on my own. I was living on my friend's couch, basically, but living on my own. And so, of course, we started to deal with this whole thing with the kids. Okay, well, when are you going to get the kids? Well, when are you going to get the kids? And we went through this summer where it was, the 4th of July was happening and all these other things. And She had wanted to take him to amusement parks, and of course, I didn't want to go with her because I was an asshole. So she went to amusement parks, and then I wanted to take him to the beach and go camping, and so we arranged for a meet. I think it was in a McDonald's parking lot in LA. Like, it was this stupid thing. And I remember seeing her and seeing her face and like just really not caring. I remember seeing the kid's face and really not caring because I wanted to do things the way I wanted to do them. And so I was basically, my entire life was commandeered by this idea, right, that I had been doing things the right way, that I had been doing things the way that they should have been done. And I look back now and realize like how selfish I'd been. Like, I'd been letting everything in my life commandeer me. Everything in my life. Now, all of these little things that eventually built up into a big thing for me, which was this entire story that my wife was the sole purpose that I was unhappy. But there was all these little things, and my inability to deal with the little things had eventually, almost like bugs on a windshield, like clogged it up to where I couldn't even see anymore. And so because I couldn't see anymore, I blamed a person who was not responsible for anything, the person in the passenger seat of the car that I was driving, my wife. And so you can see how these little things can start to take us down this path that we don't want to go down. Some of you right now are thinking that your business is going to fail because you haven't had a sale in 2 weeks, or because your marketing's failing, or because you don't have a way to fulfill with your clients, or because you have a supplier problem. Some of you think that your body will never be able to get to a place where you'll be physically fit and happy because your kids keep putting ding-dongs and ho-hos in your lunchbox. Some of you think that your marriage will never get to where you want it to go because your wife is always yelling and screaming, because you're never happy with her, because the house is never clean, because the dishes are never done. Like, we can keep going on these little things. But these little things, just like this piece of plastic that flew off my car, they can be a complete time suck. They can be a complete distraction, and utterly, they can lead to your destruction. The destruction of your body, the destruction of your marriage, the destruction of your business. It can happen if you let it. Or you can realize what it is: a roadblock, a hurdle, a bump, whatever you want to call it, a detour. And then you remember what it is you're trying to do anyway, i.e., what is your destination? And then you just keep going. You don't let a little thing like a flat tire or a nail in your tire or a piece of plastic flying off determine or derail you. So I want you to think about that right now in your life. Where is it that you're letting something like this hijack you? Yeah, I'm going to throw this one out there too, because I know there's some of you still arguing about this. The toilet paper. Really? Up, down? Does it really matter? But listen, here's the moral of the whole story. You have to be able to look at things for what they are. Nail in the tire, not your wife's fault. Piece of plastic flying off the car, not even your fault. So you can let it consume you and derail you from where it is that you're trying to go. Or you can go find the piece of plastic, be it straight, be it bent, throw it in your car, and just keep going. And that's what I invite each of you to do. Let the little things go and just keep going. All right, that's all I got for today. As always, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one.